What's up everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to give you my thoughts as a professional player on the Adidas D.O.N issue 7. And these are actually one of my favorite basketball shoes that have released so far in 2025 and one of the shoes I've been rocking with the most in the past couple of weeks. That's just how good they are, so let's get straight into it. They retail for 120 euros or dollars, which is a great retail price for the performance. I got my pair from Kicks and you can find an affiliate link in the description box down below. They just got 3 new colorways if you're interested to cop them, as I said, code down below or just use the code LUKAS. Now for what's really important, the performance. Traction performance is very good. I wouldn't go as far to say that they're exceptionally or phenomenal because they struggled a little bit on dusty courts, but if it's clean, it's one hell of a bite, and if it's dusty, it's still a good bite, but you have to wipe quite often. For the pattern, we have a radial traction pattern. Kind of creates a ripple effect from the middle out in the front, like right underneath where your toes are. And then we have some extra reinforced areas on the lateral and medial side in the front of your shoe. And then in the back, it's kind of just a straight line pattern in the middle and a radial pattern on the outside. The rubber is kind of see-through, but it's not fully translucent. In the back, it's more of a solid rubber on this colorway at least, and in the front, it's kind of translucent, but also not as translucent as we've seen on other Adidas shoes. What I would have to critique is the performance on really dusty courts. If it's just moderately dusty, it's okay. But for me, if a shoe gets like a 10 out of 10 rating in a category, it has to be absolutely top notch, even on very dusty courts, which this one just isn't. It's almost there, but it's just not a clear 10 out of 10. And the outer durability also isn't good. It's more durable than the Adidas AE2s in my opinion. They even have a softer rubber compound, but these are also not very durable, which is a shame because they would actually make for a great outdoor basketball shoe. But indoors, you're going to be good to go. So I think indoor durability is going to be okay. Outdoors, I just wouldn't recommend it. If you really want to do it, they might hold up a little bit better than some other shoes, but also not all too well. For the cushioning setup, that is one hell of an upgrade compared to last year's model, which you can see up there behind me in the background. It's Light Strike Pro and it feels way better than last year. Essentially, it feels like you really are on the floor, on the court, but you still have good impact protection. So it doesn't hurt, but you really feel the floor. So that's an amazing setup, and that's what I love about basketball shoes. If there's enough impact protection in the heel, which definitely is there. You can see there's a lot of compression marks. There's a really thick slab of Light Strike Pro foam there. And as I said, you can see the compression marks. There really is a good amount of impact protection there as well. So overall, this is a phenomenal cushioning setup and probably my favorite setup of the D.O.N issue 7, simply because it's so versatile for a lot of positions, for a lot of play styles. And even for players who want cushioning, you can go with them because you do have it. And for players who like court feel, you can go with it because you have great court feel, but there's still minimal cushioning. So it's just an optimal setup in my opinion, and really a great job by Adidas. The insole is your standard Adidas insole, just an ortholite. You can swap it out of course, but I didn't really have any big issues with it just because the step and comfort is actually very good and there's a lot of cushioning underneath my foot. And the support is also very good, which is going to be the next category we're going to talk about. In my opinion, support features are good and the shoe is already relatively stiff and supportive. I don't necessarily need to swap out the insole unless it starts moving around, which is not the case here, even though it's not glued down. For the support features, this is also one hell of a standout feature of this shoe. So cushioning and support are definitely amazing. Well, at first, let's start with the shroud. It doesn't really do anything for support, but of course, it's the most prominent feature of the shoe. But I actually hooped with it open and closed and I didn't notice a difference. The only minor difference is that the materials are a tiny little bit tighter at first before they're broken in, but that's already it. My favorite feature of the support features is that we have those nylon lace cables that go down the side here. And what's really cool about this shoe is that there's one more at the very top of your shoe, so right here at the back, that actually goes towards your heel, which is a great help if you usually struggle with heel slip, or if you have the feeling your Adidas shoes usually have heel slip, like the A1 lows, for example, or a lot of people just had that with the A9s even. So that is really an amazing upgrade, or even on the D.O.N issue 6, a lot of people had it. I completely forgot to say that. So that's just great to see that Adidas actually listens to feedback from players or people who actually play in the shoe and who noticed some issues or who had some issues, and then they do something to improve that. So that's my favorite thing about what they changed from the support features. Another new thing is that we don't have this massive Adidas X plate anymore that we had on pretty much every model last year. Right now it's we still have a torsional plate, but it's smaller. The forefoot is not as stiff, so if I show you that, the forefoot actually flexes quite well, but the midfoot is perfectly stable, which is really, really important for me. And this plate is actually, it's kind of weird because I haven't seen one like that in a while. It goes up to the side a little bit like an outrigger, and then we have it here as a regular torsional plate. Cool design actually with the spider logo. And then it comes up here on the other side again. So it's a very unusual system, but it does a great job. I was a little bit concerned that it might press into the side of my foot too much, but it didn't do that at all. So gotta give props to Adidas where props is due. That's another great setup and a very, very supportive shoe. We also have an internal heel counter that really keeps your heel locked in, and in combination with that extra lace loop that's there, you really shouldn't have any support issues. Now for the last performance category, this is going to be the materials, and that's also an interesting one because the design, in my opinion, is great. It looks really, really cool. I like the shroud and the zipper. It's a nice touch they added there to the line. I think it looks very cool, and it also performs well. The one main downside is that it's not breathable at all. So if you sweat a lot, these are probably not for you just because there's so much material there. For the shell, we have a micro mesh. It's just on the outside, and underneath there, we have some other mesh and textile materials, but it's just a lot and it adds up, and that's why it's just not breathable. On the micro mesh itself, we have some plasticky overlays here in the forefoot if you're a toe dragger that just adds some more structure and texture to the forefoot. And what I also really like is that they made this Adidas logo just with some points. That's just a cool touch. Of course, it doesn't have anything to do with performance, but it's a nice touch. I already mentioned the nylon lace cables that go down this side and the mesh and textile we have on the rest of the shoe. We also have a lot of padding on this model, which is again something I like. I'm just all for comfortable shoes that still feel minimal on court. The tongue is extremely nicely padded and well padded. And another nice detail about the tongue is that it's actually shaped to go around your ankle or around your shin, depending on where it sits, which is a nice touch. And you even have the two little pillows here on the side. It just adds to this really, really comfortable ride. We also have 4 Achilles pillows in the heel, kind of like we have on a lot of Adidas shoes right now, but they always remind me of the Harden Volume 5. So they had those really, really prominent, but they had also stiff Achilles pillows. So these are way softer. They actually don't hurt and don't pinch. It's a very, very comfortable setup. Stepping comfort is very nice, mainly because the materials are padded and the shell just hugs around your foot very, very nicely. Now, for the last two things I want to talk about, it's the weight. They are slightly heavier than the Adidas D.O.N issue 6, but in my opinion, still perfectly fine for size 13.5. You got to keep that in mind. I have really big feet, so the weights are going to be a little bit higher here than what you hear from other shoe reviewers. So I didn't have any issues with that part of the shoe. And now the fit. I put the D.O.N issue 5 here because I really, really liked the fit and the feel of them, but the performance just wasn't as good. Then I also really liked the look and the performance of the D.O.N issue 6, but the fit just wasn't as good. And now here on the D.O.N issue 7, I think they finally managed to make it nice for my wide feet because I actually fit in there with my true size. So that would also be my recommendation to you, even if you have wider feet. Just be aware that it's going to be very snug and tight at first, but they do break in very nicely. The material is very, very soft, so you should be good to go off like 1 or 2 sessions on court, even if you have wider feet. And the toe box is also a little bit wider than on some other Adidas shoes like the AE2s or the AE1s, for example. With all that being said, as at the end of every review from now on, I did in my AE2 review for the first time. Now it's probably going to be second or third time, depending on how I upload the videos. I got suggested by a follower to add a scale from 0 to book 1, how good a basketball shoe is, because book 1 is my all-time favorite shoe, and I just keep on telling that to everybody. So I'm going to do that right now in the video here as well. And in my opinion, these are probably the closest one to the book 1 I'm going to put up there as of right now. They are really awesome, not at the level of the book 1s. They just don't fit me as well from the start and are a little bit too hot after playing them for a while. The book 1 has better breathability, especially with the textile materials and the mesh materials, but they're really damn close. This is one hell of a performer, definitely going to be in contention for shoe of the year. So really, really great job from Adidas. They're pretty much killing it. I really love the AE2s as well. They're very comfortable. They look so good on foot in my personal opinion. These do as well, and they have slightly better performance than the AE2s in my personal opinion. Maybe if I keep playing more in the AE2s, I'll like them more, but as of right now, the D.O.N issue 7 is the closest I've gotten to the book one in quite a while, or essentially this year. They really combine a lot of things that need to be in a modern day basketball shoe. Now, with all that being said, I would really appreciate if you could leave a like on the video, also comment your thoughts on the D.O.N issue 7. If you didn't like the video, you can of course also leave some suggestions in the comments down below, or some videos you want to see. I know there's one guy always commenting about the SB1 Player 1 Plus review. I'm going to do that, but I just want to finish the newer shoes that came out as of right now. So I'm asking for you to be a little bit more patient and to bear with me to get the newer shoes out of the way, and then I can do some other shoes that have been out for a while already. And of course, if you haven't, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel. Have a good one and see you next time.